Okay, thank you. Sorry about that.
Okay.
Recording.
Okay. All right, so starting with a little bit about our office and Temple University, we are a very small office. We are a full-time staff of 16. We serve over 300,000 alumni, 40,000 current students, 17 schools and colleges across 11 student levels. We have campuses that are located in Philadelphia, Tokyo, Rome, and other sites. And our total service transaction results in over 100,000 transactions a year through various functions and operation. We're also responsible for the compliance mandates of GI Bill, which is complicated of in itself and challenging. With our office mission is to support student success by delivering excellence in our practice, and our mission is demonstrated and accomplished through four main goals. That is through effective, open, and proactive communication, advocating for practices that ensure quality, integrity of student academic record keeping, enhancing quality, innovation, and effectiveness in management and delivery of student services, and then creating and sustaining an environment that fosters lifelong learning and continuous professional development. Temple's environment for student is one that I like to describe as that it's a big playground where students can do just about anything if they put themselves out for doing whatever they want to do. Between esteemed fellowships, starting a business, working for some of the world's largest companies, heading to prestigious graduate programs, Temple Owls do just that. So with this kind of an environment, or with this framework or culture that Temple wanted to create for their student, we had to ask ourselves within the registrar's office, where do we fit, how do we fit, and what changes do we need to make? How do we make those changes, and how do we elevate our staff to move along with those changes? So how do we start planning for change? So initially, when we were looking at where our office was, we had an intake process that was mostly paper form. We had students, faculty, or staff, or whoever just dropping in our office, dropping off paperwork. We had web forms and workflows that required manual processing. Most of the transactions that we did not even require our attention. The functions within our office was very costly and time consuming, and it was for a long term unsustainable. So if you think about this kind of an environment throughout 2020, we would not have survived. So we had two big ideas. One was we call Project Stella, which was to build a data infrastructure within our office that we can then leverage for future use to continuously optimize our process and services and look for new opportunities. And then second was Project Atlas, which modernized and interconnected our services with other functions throughout the university. So we wanted to break the existing tradition and push forward with innovative ideas. And so around three main themes, operational, where we want to transition from processing transaction to actually managing the process, from a cultural perspective, where we wanted to position the office as a valued resource that supports our individual schools and colleges, from a technical perspective, and that is through innovate, imaginative solutions. So to make that happen, we implemented a operational framework that encompassed people, process, and technology, where it was all geared towards on the mission to ensure that people and process are most efficient, the use of technology is most effective, and customer needs are met. So this is one of the most exciting thing about our journey is our JEDI High Council. We are a group of 17 individuals, including Helen and Cindy and Darnay, and others from ITS and the Student Collaboration Center, from financial aid, and then from academic affairs. We started meeting every Thursday at 9 o'clock since 2014. That goes on even today. And it's an open forum where we discuss ideas, present issues, solve problems, and keep pushing forward any changes that we want to pursue. And we do this collaboratively and supporting each other. So I would say the rest of the highlights that I present in this presentation is all rooted in this amazing collaborative environment that we have at Temple, and specifically our JEDI Council. So as we were looking at some of the issues and was looking at some of the ways that we wanted to do things differently, we started to look for opportunities on what do we need to do? How do we identify what needs to get done? So we started with identifying, okay, before we do anything within the office, we need to have a technical infrastructure that we can leverage internally, as well as working with ITS on other projects as well. So some of the infrastructure that we have in place within our office and access to and utilize is Salesforce, and we use Parchment. We have a MySQL database. We use Python for a couple of projects. We use Toad Data Point for various projects as well. So all of the everything is all integrated and well connected. Within Project Atlas, we started to look at in the individual functions that we have within our office and how do they connect, who does it impact, and what is the value that we are seeking, and then how do we bring it into how do we deliver the value while maintaining relevancy within our office, which is the regulatory compliance, student success and customer service, operational efficiency, and then supporting our graduation and Flying For initiative. So as we started to look at individual components, we started to deconstruct those components and started to look at how do we reconstruct them as we start to connect them to the different areas to deliver that value. We also, one of the most important thing was to build a credential management system in-house for us, where we are managing digital and print transcripts, certificates, diplomas, third-party requests, verifications, that also supported the various schools and colleges, the regional sites, the different student levels, the alumni, and then also we can optimize any of these services for any other institutional initiatives as well. One of the exciting initiatives that we had was our digital diplomas and digital certificate implementation that went live in 2019. So rather than just looking at a digital diploma as a secure PDF document, we work with Parchment to extend how our digital diplomas look and feel, specifically on the web. So like our diplomas extend learner details where more of their academic accomplishments are demonstrated. And then since prior to 2019, students who completed a certificate program didn't really receive anything. So it was a good opportunity to pursue a digital certificate for students who completed a certificate program. So that was another big thing for us. Another area that we are very excited about and very proud of is that we're able to deliver hyper-personalized notifications and emails to students. And one of the ones that we do is related to priority registration. And that is designed to help students simplify decision-making. And so constructing the messages was pretty challenging, where we had to send out about 40,000 emails across 2 student levels, graduate and undergraduate, across 2 main campuses, main campus and Temple, Japan, 2 time zones, Eastern and Japan Standard Time. 48 registration rules, 12 schools and colleges, and encompassing 17 different decision points that influence registration. So this was one of the big ones. And then once we figured out how to do this, we were able to then figure out how to deliver hyper-personalized emails to students as needed, as something was triggered, so that that information is just relevant to them and specifically to them. And some of the areas that we pursued automation that we're very excited about and that delivered tremendous value is our change of major. About, I would say 95% or 99% of the change of major request is automated, which means that an advisor goes into the workflow. The workflow has all the business rules built into it. And then once they hit submit, banner records are updated real time. We also built a leave of absence application for students to submit. Again, that application lives in TU Portal, has the policy rules around it, and is hyper personalized to the students. So when an individual student see distinct messages that is relevant to them. So for example, if a student is receiving federal aid, they see how and what the implication is for a student to take a leave if they're on federal aid. During COVID, we had a policy to allow students to request credit, no credit grade mode for their courses. We automated that through TU Portal, which was one of the most, I would say, the best thing that we did for COVID, because the amount of times the students, changed their mind and selected the option was just would not have been manageable if it was not automated. Just recently, we implemented a process to deliver enrollment and degree verification letters to third-party recipients that students tell us. We also implemented a process to deliver dates of attendance letter, which highlights a student's enrollment status throughout their time at Temple University. Another thing that we saw was that students who were going to grad school also required AP course equivalency letters. So those are also automated. So each of those projects took like about 2 weeks to complete and to roll out. And then recently we started we started doing residency audits. So we implemented a process for managing that's automated as well, where students are selected, they're notified, there's tracking, there are reminders sent. So that went live. We built an entire ecosystem for our GI Bill recipient. We call it GI benefits. It helps us manage the entire process to certify students for their GI Bill, as well as it's transparent to the student so that they know exactly what's going on with their record, when things are happening, any information that we need to push out to them, we can do that individually to the student or in batch. We simplified our diploma issuance process. A lot of the time involved in that was related to cleaning up student records. So all of that is done behind the scene now. And our process is just narrowed down to the point where we just upload the roster file to Parchment to issue the diploma. And one of the projects that we have coming up is re-enrollment, where students will be able to leverage TU Portal to easily indicate that they want to re-enroll, and behind the scenes, once they're approved, then their records are updated automatically. The last thing that I have here is related to identity verification. So our institutional advancement alumni relations had a process to activate alumni account in TU Portal. And so we decided that we thought it was a good idea to leverage that process and optimize it so that we can leverage it for other things, which I will talk about in a bit. So now, after having all of that, one of the biggest issue that we faced was what we call the intake, like how customers contact us and how do we manage that intake process. So that was one area that we were very inefficient. Even after automating as much as we did, we still had that issue where it was like a funnel where it was so easy for students to contact us, and it was creating a bottleneck. The output was being constrained as the bottom of the funnel. So we decided to implement a new model for that around 4 main points. That is that one, we only want to deal with verified customers. We want to have a single point of entry for intake, and then we want to make it easy and clear to access that intake, and then be transparent about expectations. So a verified customer means that all students' support requests has to be facilitated through TU Portal. Parents who want to contact the Office of the University Registrar, their identity is validated, meaning that they have to exist as a FERPA wave contact. They have to have an email address and banner, and FERPA and email must be associated with the student. So on our public website, we do have a web form that parents can fill out, and then all the checks are done behind the scene And if parents are, if all the checks match, then their request makes it to our office. If not, they're told that, sorry, you're not a verified parent. And then third-party agents do submit inquiries via web form. There's no check for that, but we do check if if a student is acting as a third party, or if a parent is acting as a third party, and they get denied. We discontinued our departmental email and moved everything through to the web. And we think we know that this particular model has worked really well for us because it protects the student's identity and maintains confidentiality. So this particular process, this intake process, is one that we went live with recently. I think it was June of this year, just this summer. So we only deal with parents who are verified. So students have to activate their TU portal account. They can do that through the identity verification process. We don't deal with spam or emails that do not have any context that require our attention. Internal resources are only spent on cases that do require our attention, and then we use data to manage the process. And then we have a single source for intake, and then students and parents are directed to follow the same process. So then we turn this funnel into a nice flow that is easy to manage from inflow to outflow. And this is where we leverage our public website tremendously. We have, when we were building the contents for our website, we had the intention of creating the content so that we're very transparent about what we do, how it needs to be done, and how do they contact us if they have any issues. So if anybody contacts us and says, hey, how do I request a transcript? registrar.temple.edu/transcripts, and that's the process that they have to follow. And then from our website, students can log in directly to the service that they are requesting within TU portal. So this is our single point of entry from the public website directly into TU portal. So what's coming up next for us is that we have some exciting projects. Some of the things that we accomplished over the last few years is we have over 40 processes that support our operation, over 10 portal features for advisors, administrators within our office for students that we manage. We've engaged in over 50 experimental projects involving machine learning and chatbot and other data projects. We have logged over 1.5 million events since 2015. 80%, more than 80% of our 100,000 plus transactions are automated. We achieved 80% satisfaction with our transcript service. We improved diploma issuance from about 4 weeks to 1 week. We virtually eliminated foot traffic to our office. We strengthened records management and policy compliance. And then we contributed to the efficiency within the advising units. And that's very important for us, the last point, because our main customers are not just the students, but the advising units as well. And we had to figure out a way that how do we simplify their task so that there's time is spent better with students and not dealing with administrative processes that involve us. One of the projects that we have coming up is our comprehensive learner record in partnership with Fox School of Business. And this is taking, I would say, just not academic data, but non-academic data, and presenting a holistic view of students' accomplishments and skills to the recipient. We're very excited about that. We should be expecting to start issuing this sometime in spring. And then as far as Project Atlas, we're going to continue to focus on automation, business process efficiency. And one of the things that we're going to start to get into next is what we call a post-service support, where we're starting to analyze how do we address problems and issues once a student initiates a service, and what data do we look at, and then how do we turn that into an automated feature. And that is using the same concept as systemized decision, leveraging existing data, and of course, it'll be verified cases. And we're also going to start to explore how can we leverage chatbots and machine learning in our in our operation or in our process. One of the things that we did with our website, a public website, is to design and write the content so that it can be consumed by it can be consumed to train chatbots. So that is what I have for our projects and how we kind of got there in short, without getting too much into the technical details. So I will take any questions anyone might have.
Thank you, Bhavesh. While we have our last slide up here, these are just all the ways that you can, folks can find us. PABUG being us, not Bhavesh's office, but PABUG. So I think let's maybe take the screen share down now, Bhavesh, and we
Sure.
do have one question so far in the chat. Oh, we have two. Okay, first
Okay.
one is, I love the JEDI High Council. How was it initiated and has it achieved endorsement from management?
So first I'll answer your question, the second part of the question, which is I don't think the management could not endorse it. So the result that we have demonstrated is from the JEDI Council, and how it was initiated was what we did was one day it was in August, I think it was 2014, and in August of 2014 we kind of mapped out what do we need to do over the next 6 months, and then when we mapped everything out, Sandy and James and I and my associate directors, we looked at the whiteboard and said, hey, isn't this what we do every 6 months? And they were like, yep, pretty much. So we asked Darnay and Sue and Cindy and say, hey, look, this is what we do every 6 months. We need to figure out a way to address this issue and be more efficient. Can you help us? And that's how we got started. And we're still running today. So in short, it got started by asking for help.
And it was sort of organic the way it's grown. It sounds
Very, yes, very. Yep, yeah. We have no agenda. We just come in, share, and talk about what we're doing, what's going on, and just work towards a solution.
That's great. That's a great model of collaboration and a lot of team spirit there.
It's been really great. So my colleagues in IT and I, who are also here on the Zoom, Darnay and Cindy, we rotate our attendance at the JEDI High Council weekly meetings, but then we share with each other what what was discussed there. It's just been a really, really great effort.
Yeah, and I think it helps us too, just to be mindful of, what their daily operations are like, from IT, sort of looking at the registrar's office and just sort of being aware of that. It sort of helps us with our being empathetic about the kinds of support that we can lend to them, and it's sort of anticipating timing also. Yeah, it's been really, really good.
It's a great way to have an idea of sharing what the big picture is, so where the registrar's office can hear upcoming priorities that IT may have, and then we hear what
Vice
upcoming
versa.
priorities they
Yep.
have. So it's been really great. Here, the next question was, Dr. Bambhrolia, could you please speak to how your office interacts with the enterprise support IT office? We just touched on that a little bit.
Yes, so we play within the IT playground, whatever whatever their framework is. So it's even though we have some technical infrastructure within our office, it all goes through approval process through central IT. We have 3 servers that run specifically for our office. They're all vetted through security and all of that. So we play within I guess play is not may not be the right word, but we operate within the framework that they set for us for the entire university, and it's very important to do that. we also are very transparent about, what our issues are, what our goals are, what we want to be doing, what we want to be working on. And we try and involve through Helen and her team as often as possible through every project that we have. And then they can also recommend who else needs to be involved from other areas. So that has worked out really well. And then it's not just within central IT. There's different groups. There's the Student Collaboration Center. There's the portal team, and then there's the BPI group. So we all try to try to share everything that we're doing with everybody and work cooperatively and collaboratively. And then within their framework. So, if there's something that we need that cannot be done, then we're like, all right, let's hold off on that until we're ready to, do that. And some of the projects that we started early on, we weren't ready for that, and so we just waited until we had the right structure in place, which flexibility is really important.
I would like to mention too, besides, the JEDI High Council that Bhavesh's area instituted, the members of from the registrar's office staff also participate. We have weekly self-service banner upgrade and self-service banner modification meetings where we discuss, we've Temple's already pretty far ahead with SSB 9. So they also come to our meetings. So the collaboration isn't just, us going to them, they come to us as well. And always, their input is invaluable as far as, what the end users need to see where SSB 9 is concerned. Okay, one other question. The idea of flexibility for all things has been a model in higher education, especially in a community college setting. You've been able to create a solid process in which all students/parents must follow. How was the process? Did you have any pushback at any point of time? And if so, how did you deal with that?
So, the process, I will start by explaining again, the process is that we want to only deal with verified customers, right? So like, for example, and the example, the example that I gave is try contacting Target or Walmart or any retailer or even Best Buy if you were not their customer, right? So let's say you didn't buy a TV from Best Buy. Try going there and say, hey, I need service on my TV, but or try returning a product from Amazon that you didn't buy from them. So it really dawned on us that why are we so open? Why is it so easy to contact us and monopolize our time when we don't even know many of the times who the person is on the other end. So when we had our departmental email, of course it's easy to send an email to somebody, but then you go into back and forth, like, who are you? What's your Temple ID? Are you really the person that you should be? So there was some privacy issues there. There were some privacy issues there first about not knowing who we were in contact with. So that was the main thing about making the process. And we also had in place the identity verification process for alumni, which we leverage which we are leveraging now for all operations within our office or all services that current or former students need within our office. So as far as pushback goes, there wasn't any pushback, and I don't think we can go back to the way it was, because we have substantial amount of data that shows that we have people, parents who are not FERPA away trying to contact us, third party trying to contact us. We have students who were using the identity verification process to access their service. So it's working, and our goal was to be diligent about privacy and confidentiality, and all the data that we have shows exactly that. So we don't have any pushback on it. And before we even went live with it, we reviewed our rationale and justification with university counsel. And to say that, when somebody does send us an email to our departmental account, they do get a auto reply, and it explains how do you contact us. So it was all of the issues that we anticipated. We within the framework, we built the date, we built the process to get at the data to show that this is how it does work. So yeah, that's how we built the process, and the pushback, there is none.
And follow-up question is, do you still send original diplomas via mail in addition to the digital diploma?
So that's another change that we did. One of the, as we were implementing our digital diploma, we stopped mailing out the print diplomas. So students can only request a print diploma after their digital diploma was issued. The reason why we did that was because we had a lot of students requesting their print diploma to be mailed, and then by the time we got around to mailing it, they were no longer at that address. So now they can request a print diploma whenever they want, and then they get their digital diploma as soon as we issue it.
I want to invite you folks to go ahead. If you want to ask a question, it doesn't have to be in the chat. You're welcome to unmute yourself and ask as well here. I have one question for you, Bhavesh. What do you think of all the projects that you've done to automate and make your daily jobs more manageable? What's the one that you feel like you're most proud of?
I think I will be most proud of the comprehensive learner record. And I think I absolutely love that project, because what we are able to do there is really to show true value of a student's Temple education, and students get to realize what they have accomplished both academically and non-academically. And part of that entails working with various departments within various units within the university, student affairs and HR and other units, to get at the data that will feed the CLR, the comprehensive learner record. So when that goes live, that'll be one of the most exciting project.
Thanks.
Bhavesh, that's a very forward-looking document. That really is. It's sort of the next evolution of an official academic transcript that encompasses not just grades and degrees awarded, but also includes content and gives a qualitative insight into a student's career at a school. I think that's enormously innovative and really, forward thinking. So good luck with that.
Thank you.
Regarding transcripts, though, many of us have outsourced transcript request acceptance and transcript production in response to those requests. It seems like Temple has not, and you've retained that, so you don't use the National Student Clearinghouse or Parchment or Credentials Inc.
We use Parchment. So
oh, you do?
yeah,
Okay. I'm sorry.
Parchment is our credential vendor.
Okay.
They do our transcripts, they do our diplomas, and they will be doing the comprehensive learner record.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. So we don't print any transcripts in-house. Everything is done through Parchment. So students request a print transcript, Parchment will mail it. But what we're seeing is that most of the students are requesting digital transcripts.
Agreed.
Bhavesh, your office doesn't really have any hard copy at this point, right?
No.
Yeah.
No, none.
That's great. We all want to live in your world right now. So that's awesome.
Another question has come in through chat. I like how you grouped improvement projects into the categories, and I see how having this broad vision helped keep the momentum. What offices of the university were involved in developing this vision and projects portfolio?
So what we did was within the registrar's office, we got together to kind of map out what would, like, if we had nothing. We started out by saying, if we had nothing, like if we were just starting today and we had no processes in place, what would that look like, just from our own experience? And so we actually documented that. And so once we documented that, we then started having conversations with the other areas, like the advising college advisors and other units, and started talking about, well, if we're making changes, we would look at who our customers are, who are the initiators, and then look at, how would they want to, what would an optimized process look like for them? So I'll give you, like, for example, leave of absence is a really good example, and a change of program is a really good example. So leave of absence, the advisors would submit a form to the registrar's office, and then we would update the student's record. But the advisor said, we don't want to be involved in this process because our responsibility is just sending the form. So it was a perfect process to make it entirely touch-free, where it's student driven. And then the change of program is another good example, where the advisors would complete the workflow, and then we would update the record manually. But the issue was that the advisors would be waiting for would be waiting for us to make the changes. So automating it was the next thing. So in terms of the vision, we wanted to be very clear that anything that we do has to deliver value. And so we didn't want to do things, and it has to be intentional. So we didn't want to do things just for the sake of doing it. So and the value would be that would be exhibited by who is it that we are serving. So what does value look like for that particular office?
Thank you. Another question in regards to hard copy transcripts. How do you deal with specific requests that need to have raised seals or secure attachments? For example, information for international students or specific healthcare licensure programs.
So we don't attachments. We don't do attachments with our transcripts. We don't have anybody asking for that. But in terms of licensure, all of with Parchment, they have a in-network program, so students can send the transcript directly to any of the CAS organizations with their by indicating their CAS ID. So that there is taken care of. If we do, some students do have licensure forms that they submit to us that we fill out, and we digitally sign those using Adobe.
Hey, Jerry asks again, looking back, is there anything you would do differently?
No. I would not. I never look back and say, man, I wish I did that differently. No, what's done is done. But the benefit of looking back is that, okay, what were the mistakes that we made, and what do we learn from it? But I would never look back and say, hey, if we did this differently, we would be at a different place. No, I'm very, very excited and happy at where we are today, and I wouldn't change it for the world.
Oh, that's great. No regrets. Right?
No, absolutely not. Right. So,
Okay.
it's like it's a multiple, the time continuum issue. Right. So if I go back and change one little thing, the butterfly effect, we don't know what might be different today. So I'm really happy and excited about, what we have today. One thing that was really awesome was that when we were on March 16th, when we left our office, we were completely prepared for remote work. We did not miss a beat. So everything that we needed to do to run our office, our day-to-day operation, we already had everything in place.
That's tremendous.
And just thinking back, Bhavesh, to pre-Bhavesh days, what a nightmare that could have been with all
Yes.
the manual work and all the
Yep.
students that would walk in and ask for this and that, and it would have been a nightmare.
Yeah, I think the only other organization I can think of that did that with the advent of the pandemic was Wawa. They never missed a beat either, and they kept supplying their services to never really missed a beat.
Yeah.
We're
It's
the
amazing.
Wawa of higher ed.
Yeah, I suppose. But it's quite a different environment though.
Yeah.
So, and you should be congratulated for all of this, Bhavesh. It's fabulous.
Yeah, but that's the
Thank
only
you.
thing I can think of that was a gap as the pandemic hit was batch transcripts that I think we were still sort of doing hard copy at the time.
Yes, yes, yes.
But we were able to hustle and get that turned into a digital process for you in probably like 2 or 3 weeks.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so that was a pretty smooth. That was a pretty. It's I mean it working with you is pretty easy, and I think our infrastructure was already primed for that. So that that wasn't too difficult to do.
Yeah, the foundation was already there. Right?
Yeah, everything was already there. We just had to use the pieces we already had.
Nice.
And another question has come in, Bhavesh, saying, in Parchment, do you have to run daily reports to make sure all the requests were processed successfully? We use the National Student Clearinghouse, and some requests are flagged due to not being able to match a student by the information submitted.
So we don't have issues where student information is not matched because every student, regardless of when they attended Temple University, they all have to go through the identity verification process to activate their portal account. Then once they're in TU portal, they can then single sign on into Parchment. When they single sign on into Parchment, relevant information and indicators are passed on so that the students can order the specific transcript level. And if they have a degree earned, then they can order a replacement diploma. So it's a very hyper personalized experience. We do have issues where once a student does place a transcript order, sometimes it does get stuck in processing, but those are typically resolved fairly quickly. But the issue that you describe about not being a match, we don't have that problem anymore.
Okay, we're going into our last 10 minutes. If anyone has any other questions, feel free to type them in or just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask them. It's your 10-minute warning. Okay, well, if not, last chance, everyone. Okay, I guess that's it.
I was
Go
going
ahead,
to
Jerry.
ask
Go ahead, sorry.
just very quickly if you could make one recommendation to anyone, Bhavesh, in terms of prioritizing enhancements or prioritizing the things that all of this array of services, would you say this is the most important thing that you need to do in order to get the most impact and the most increase in efficiency and effectiveness?
So that's a really good question, and there's different approaches to that. And the approach that we took was an economical approach, and that is to look at what are the issues that what are the processes that we have in our office that are most costly. Leave of absence was very costly because it involved multiple touch points by a person when it really did not at the end of the day. The change of program was another issue, and then our transcript service was also very costly because we had the process that that was described earlier, where students can just go into Parchment and create their self-registered account. A lot of issues there. So it would be starting. So that's one way to start it, is to look at what's the most costly process that you have that you can get an economic value out of. Another way to look at it is would be what is a process that you have that requires multiple touch points when it really doesn't need to. And this could be something that is not time consuming, but it could be, it could be something where a lot of people are involved, waiting and things like that, when when they really don't need to. So I'll give you an example where um, excuse withdrawal petition is something that students can submit for medical withdrawal or withdrawing from the university due to extenuating circumstance. So the original process was where the advisors would reach out to the faculty and get information and then send everything over to the registrar's office. But then when we think about, like, with all the different schools and colleges, with all the different um, advisors involved, with all the different faculty, so it kind of amplifies that those touch points are amplified. So then just a couple of weeks ago, we took on the responsibility of managing that entire process. And the only thing that the advisor has to do is submit the petition on behalf of the student after consulting with them and everything. So this is, even though this is not a cost issue for the registrar's office, but then when we look at it from an advisor perspective and advising community perspective, those multiple touch points that they have to do it, because it's amplified, it becomes very costly. So those are two different ways to look at it. Internal within the office versus externally is who are your core customers, and how do they interact with you?
Bhavesh, how
Thank-
long do you
thank you.
think, it took you to do your analysis in the beginning? Like how long do you think you spent analyzing your processes and the costs and what needed to change first?
Well, so first we had to get the data. We started looking at all the transactional data, and then we started asking questions as to why are we doing it this way? What's the historical reason for it? And then we started. Then after that, we just started chopping it, and timing wise, it would be taking on one process at a time, and then like coming up with an ideal design for it, and then working towards that ideal solution. So I think the most of the projects, I would say, took between 3 to 9 months to start to complete, and some projects took a little bit longer because they were very complex. Like, for example, our GI benefits ecosystem for students using GI Bill took about a year to do. And that was because it was one, very complex. We had to build into the app a lot of the rules for the VA rules, the certification rules. We had to build new data model, and so that did take quite some time.
Thank you. Anyone else? Yeah, I think that's it. Thank you so much, Bhavesh. This was really
Yeah.
great. I really appreciate you speaking with us, and hopefully you all learned a lot today. And I know personally from working with Bhavesh, I'm sure you'd be fine if people reached out to you to ask some other questions, any more questions that they may not have asked today.
Sure. Thank
we'll-
you.
Bravo.
We'll publish your
Bravo,
phone number. No, I'm
Bhavesh.
kidding. Thank you so much. I'm going to stop our recording.
All right.